So today we'll be learning about what actually is developer experience. And then I'll also talk about problems of scaling this developer experience across large organizations. And then based on our experiences, I'll also talk about 5 techniques that has helped us improve this developer experience, the impact that we have created, the practical implications. And also I'll demo one tool that has helped us in this journey so far. So let me ask you first one question. What is developer experience, or what drains the most of productivity of your developers? Anyone? Any takers? How many developers are here? Already I see that you're drained of your energy. Okay, imagine this situation. I am also a developer. So let's say I came to my, I start usually, how do you start your day? Using stand-up, right? So I started my day with stand-up, which is usually for 30 minutes, but casually goes for 1 hour. Then I picked up a story where I'll need to actually consume an API from a service, let's say A, and build some operations on top of it. So I come to my desk after my stand-up, and then I open my laptop, which obviously takes nearly, say, 15 minutes to open. And then I go grab coffee, come sit, and then I try to search for that API. Like I'll go search for some documentation related to that service A or some API and all, which after spending some time, I don't know, I could not get any info. Then I go talk to my manager. Then he actually navigates me to some other person who is actually working in service A. Then she gives me some documentation or some link where she says that, okay, you can go and search here, you will get this API documentation. I come back, I sit, I open, then I find out that I don't have access to it. Then I go back to her. Then she says that, no, I can't give you access. Go to some person DevOps. Then I go to the DevOps person. He gives me the access. I come back. I try to search it. Then the contract seems jittery. I go back into some meetings. Then I try to find out what should I consume, what should be the API, what should be the authentication to consume it, all these things. And I think that, okay, I'll be able to do it. Boom. My whole day is finished. Familiar? Little bit or some of these situations, right? Okay. So when there is a research entirely going on, thinking how can we actually improve this developer experience? The whole thing that I'm talking about is just a 1 day of developer experience. But based on a survey done by GitPrime, what actually drains most of the developer productivity? If you see, the results are exemplary actually. So things like, waiting for other people to do stuff, or, struggling with bad tools like your laptop taking 15 minutes, and then things like needing help from other developers. You see, these things actually come up when you think of developer experience. And what we have done was, we have thought through, like, what does a developer goes through? And we were able to come up with these things when we think of developer experience. Initially, whenever a developer onboards to a company or to a team, they go through this content experience, like onboarding, the onboarding templates that you go through. Or when you join a new team, the technology might be different. So you need to learn that technology. Or your company might be having its own knowledge base where you need to understand the architecture, or all these things come under the content experience. Then the majority of the life of a developer is spent on delivery infrastructure experience, right from pulling the code, building CI/CD, or things like the first talk that you are telling, if you are a platform engineer, you spend time on the observability tools, automation, all these things come under the delivery infrastructure experience. And in the example that we were talking through, the document experience, like the API documentation, or even the readmes of whenever download a new service or a project, or the ADRs, like why did some architecture decision happen? I wanted to know how my thing is functioning. All these come under document experience. And needless to say, the community experience, right? We are all, after all, human beings, and we need to talk to others. It may be via chat, it may be via social media or blog posts or some other team, or even the communities within your organization. All these come under the community experience. So a developer goes through all these things. Now, if you have to improve the developer's experience, what do you need to do? You have hell lot of options actually. As you can see here, there are only few bullet points here. Even there are many things underlying actually. And there are multiple initiatives that you can take to improve the developer experience, right? Based on where we have worked with couple of organizations to improve their developer experience and all, what we have seen is that they work well with small teams, like a team of size of 10, 20, 50 even. We were good actually, like we were able to build excellent developer experience. People are happy and all. But when we work with large organizations, it was very difficult to scale this experience. Why? First thing is, the management or the clients, they tend to build a big bang platform. Like the world is now over, like I wanted to improve my developer experience. Let me say that I wanted to build, solve all the problems at a time. Okay, I wanted to build a platform, I wanted to build a portal, I wanted to include good experience, I wanted to improve my CI/CD. They want to do everything at once, which does not work. Okay, now let's say learning from this experience, people thought that, okay, let's do one at a time. So let me scale it a bit at a time. Even that, then the problem comes is that they try to solve different problems which are not of priority to the developers. Then also it will not work well. Then slowly, if you pick one after the other, right, let me solve the important problem, I'll go to the next problem. The problem comes with the scale is that when you have hundreds of teams, the tech stack is different. The things that you need to onboard to your developer portal or a platform, or the problems that you need to solve is different for different teams. So then you will get to stuck. And then after years of building this portals or platforms, you question yourself, am I on the right track? Like, am I going in the right direction or not? Am I solving it, or am I creating more problems to my developers? Okay. And ultimately, at the end of it, one thing that you observe is that your developers are not actually adopting your platform or the portals that you are building. The management spends millions of rupees or dollars on building these experiences or to improve the experience, but ultimately you see that the developers are not adopting these things. So we came up with these 5 techniques if you are planning to improve your developer experience that can help you actually. So the first one is, let me ask a question. Who is your customer here? If you want to solve or if you want to improve your developer experience, who is the customer? Yeah. Developer, right? Right? But what usually happens is that these initiatives or these things, they were taken up to solve some other problems or to satisfy the board, you know, to say that, okay, I am doing this for my developers, or to build it for management, or they say that, or for governance, you know. So their anti-pattern that we have observed is that they're built for management or governance purposes. So the solution we say is that adopt a user-first mindset. Like the one more thing, the challenge also we were telling, right? Like the solution, they build is not actually the problem being observed by the developers. Let's say the developer is facing a lot of issue in their setup, or it takes a lot of time for them to, in the tools, like laptop itself is the problem, for example. If you're not solving that problem first, but you're trying to do something or some big bang approach or something, it does not help actually. So first of all, understand your user. That is developers. Like you can populate some forms, do some surveys and all, and understand what is their problem and then solve for it. Okay. I think all of you have been on the AWS talk, right? I think some or the other, how many of you use cloud? AWS, Azure, GCP, show of hands. You all use, right? Right. So let's say, imagine the situation where now currently what do you do for EC2? You just click one button and then you get an EC2 machine on your, like, let's say that you will have to actually click a button, but then open a portal, send a mail for approval, and someone in AWS will actually see it and then approve it. You will get it next day. So I don't think cloud would have been adopted this quickly if it's not self-service. Agree with me? Same is with your developer portals or platforms or whatever you're trying to automate. So the question you need to ask is, what am I trying to automate for my developer? And make it self-serviceable. Okay, I agree that there are some scenarios where you actually need approvals, you can't give away and all, but make sure that you are actually thinking, I can automate it to my best level. Only if it is needed, I will introduce a approval mechanism. So the anti-pattern here is using a ticketing system in the fear that, okay, maybe it will be overused or maybe they're not ready. So don't think that. So always include self-service feature as primary feature, and only if needed, go for some approval or ticketing system actually. Like imagine this situation where there is some template with all the best practices, coding practices included, which you follow in your organization available. All you have to do is to create a new service, just download it. And if it also gives you a CI/CD and all, no, like you're ready, right, to do it. You don't need anyone's approval. You don't need to go through all documentation to understand how you need to name your variable. You don't need to understand if I have to use Code Climate or Sonar Cube. So all these things, if it's available and you can do it on a click, it really improves your experience. Now, the next question I wanted to say is that if you can't observe something or if you can't measure something, you can't improve it. It's the same thing even with developer experience initiatives. So if you want to improve the experience, you need to measure it, right? But the question is, are you measuring what truly matters? Because most of the times, this is like my favorite, because every time I go to someone at exec level, they keep asking me, how can I improve my developer productivity? But what we say is that improve your developer experience, then you can improve the productivity, right? So the anti-pattern here is that measuring developer productivity in the name of developer experience, okay? I wanted to measure how many lines of code my developer is writing. That's not developer experience. You wanted to know the productivity there, okay? So the solution here is that measure for the right metrics of developer experience. There is this famous paper actually, DevEx, how to improve the productivity actually. And if you go to it, it says that there are 3 things that constitutes of developer experience. Cognitive load, which the user faces, and the feedback loops and the flow state. Okay, so measure for these things. Like if you think of flow state, you know, things like how much time is the developer wasting in meetings. Okay, I'm saying wasting in the meeting, unnecessary meetings, okay, not in all meetings or so. Or what is the feedback flow? Like as soon as I write my code, am I getting the feedback quickly? Or like, am I waiting for someone to review my code, to approve it and all? Like, can I reduce that cycle time of the code review? That is the actual measure you need to take, okay? Okay, so in this process, as I was telling, people tend to build a lot of portals or platforms and all. But the question to ask here is your internal developer portal deciding your architecture? I'm saying this because initially everything looks good. Like whenever we are starting with 1 or 2 teams, you will think about those teams. Let's say, for example, that team is using Jenkins. I'll say that, okay, I'll give you Jenkins pipeline in a click. So use my portal. Then later on, when you move, it becomes in such a way that the other team is actually using GitHub Actions. Now you need to, okay, now what do I do? Now, if you ask the other team that, hey, I can't give you GitHub Action, why don't you move to Jenkins? That is where you're actually limiting your architecture, saying that my portal or platform can't support this tool or tech stack. So you move to a different tech stack. So the anti-pattern here is that constraining the architecture and tech stack decisions here. So if you keep the platform or portals or the solutions that you're building, keep it loosely coupled, you know, so that you can integrate with any other tool or you can scale it easily. Okay. So all this is good, but when you see like after 4 or 5 years, there are multiple solutions that are built, and let's say that I have one search portal everywhere where I can search, and then there is one place where I can actually see all my services. There is one place where I can see my API documentation. Then the question we need to ask is, how many locations should a developer bookmark? You know, like if I have to see my API documentation, let's see where is the link, and then okay, I'll go there. Okay, if I have to see some observability metrics, okay, let me check where it is, and then I'll go there. Okay, so you're adding additional cognitive load to your developer. You're not solving for their problem. You're increasing their problem actually. Okay. So the anti-pattern is developer visiting multiple sites or multiple locations to go to and all. So the solution we suggest is one portal for all developer routine workflows. For example, imagine a unified search for API, catalog, and documentation for all these things, So the challenges that we were telling earlier, right? Like, am I going in the right direction or not? That is solved by our measures of success. And developers not adopting the developer portal. Like if there is a single pane of glass, all the developer has to do is to actually go to that place and then they know everything actually. Even if it's a new developer also, it will not be a problem actually. Okay. So, now, based on these techniques, we have worked with various organizations to improve their developer experience, and we have achieved amazing results. Like we have done that for organizations who has a scale of more than 8,000 developers. Okay, and we have seen even results. Like as I was telling, even though you're measuring for your developer experience, it internally improves your productivity. Do not make it as your primary target. Improve your developer experience. Happy developers gives you more productivity. Okay, so the results we could see is like the cycle time reduced to 15 minutes from weeks, and the number of deployments went from 1 per week to 4 per day, and like even the developer happiness quotient also has improved for various organizations actually. And across all this journey, one tool has immensely helped us actually. So that tool is Backstage. So Backstage is an open source internal developer platform built on this tech stack. And there are 4 key features that we say. One being the software catalog, where you can actually list all the services that are there in your organization, and it can give you all these services. It can also act like a tech docs, like all the documentation can be unified at one place. And also there are software templates, the one which I was talking, right? Like you have a service template, and then you can actually download it, and then you can start a new service or a new project instantaneously actually. But the coolest thing that we love about Backstage is pluggable architecture. So as you can see, there are a lot of plugins that are available which can help you in this in your journey of implementing an IDP actually. So let me show you quickly a small demo of how Backstage works also. So, okay. So this is how Backstage looks like. So it's a, like you can also actually go to the site demo.backstage.io. This is the catalog where you're listing all the services. For example, you can go to your service and you can also see what are the relations of it. You can also check the APIs of it, whatever is available. Now imagine the scenario that I was telling in the beginning, right? Like I am supposed to consume a service API from service A. Now all I have to do is come here and then go to Backstage, check for service A, and then I get service A and the API documentation, and you can see the API documentation here, and then I get this, and then I do it. You might be thinking, right? Like, okay, it looks like just like Swagger, right? That's the beauty of it actually. So your multiple projects might be having multiple Swagger instances having loaded onto your project, right? And here it's all unified. You can see all of the details in one portal. So it acts like a single pane of glass, and it is not adding any additional effort actually to bring into this portal. If Swagger is already there, Swagger portal, the plugin is already there in Backstage. All you have to do is plug into your Swagger link. You're not adding any additional effort or taking any like 2 or 3 iterations to actually integrate with Backstage. Okay, if it's already there, it's already readily available, and everything can be found here. And you can check for APIs, you can check for your services, and you can also see here, there are a lot of plugins actually. Okay, so I think there are a lot of plugins that you can use. So you name it and you can have it here. And if you don't have it also, you can even develop something. So because it's open source, that's the beauty of having an open source application. So Thoughtworks, what we have done is we also wanted to play around with it. So we have created our own implementation of Backstage. We call it Konark. And as you can see here, we have integrated, and there is the search also. You can even search with people, like I can search with my name and I'll have my name. I can have things like wherever, like what is the skills that I have and all. And I can even search for like template projects. Like if I say Spring Boot, just this is a service that is available. This is a DB that is available. And also there is this documentation. Like I can see full results. There is documentation related to Spring Boot. How do I run it? Everything is at one place. This is like a unified location. And even latest tools like ChatGPT is available. So you can integrate ChatGPT and anyone in your org can also use it actually. Okay. So let's look at one more interesting fact here. Otherwise, let me play it from my laptop directly. So if you see here, there are multiple templates of the available here. Like for example, create S3 bucket, Node.js server, and Spring Boot Kotlin server. I wanted to create a service in Spring Boot for Kotlin. So all I have to do is click that button, give the name of my project. Like I wanted to create a name with test Spring Boot Kotlin, and give a description of that. And whoever is the owner, like give the owner of the component, like it can be any user or it can be some organization also. And then you give the artifact ID, Java package, which should be the same thing, and whatever is the snapshot you wanted. Give on which server port you want it to run on. Let's give 8080 over here. And where do you want to host it? Currently, our hosting platform is github.com. And what is the owner organization we have here? You can just check, preview what all information that you wanted. And if it's okay with you, then you go ahead and create this service. So it's actually getting the service template and it's publishing. And it directly publishes to your catalog also. You don't need to do any additional work over here. So in the catalog, it's already there. Now you can go and view the source. The source is already published to your org's repo. So the repo is already created over here. And you can also see like the first commit has all the code. We have integrated all the best practices over here, like all the tools that we want, like SonarQube we wanted, what all actions we wanted to run. We were using Gradle. So all the best practices, like I'm using Docker, ECR, like even you can use Kubernetes over here. And all these things are already integrated in this application as a service template. Now that work, it takes like 2 or 3 sprints it takes to do all these things. Multiple stories you need to create. You don't need to now actually. So, and the beauty is you also have the pipeline created. You don't need to run to your DevOps person to actually create a pipeline. So all the pipeline is created because it's the first commit, it's all green. And also you have SonarQube integrated with it. You will know like by default what are the vulnerabilities that you have. As you can see, you will have Prometheus, Docs, and Kubernetes also integrated. So everything comes with a one click actually. I will tell you, right? The self-starter kit that we were talking about, it's a very self-service approach and it's very easy approach also. Okay. So with this, I would like to leave you with one thought. Every developer needs a seamless experience because better experience accelerate outcomes and drive greater business impact. And for that experience to improve, you will need product mindset. You need to build for self-service, have a measure of success defined, keep it evolutionary in nature, and provide a single pane of glass. Thank you.